Well, I will get us started. We're at 11:02. So, and see, we've got some familiar names online. So, welcome back. I'm Rob Clayman with the Oshkosh Chamber. Welcome. This is our part four of four webinar series with Stellar Blue Technologies. Thanks again, guys, for being with us. Brett Hildebrand and Tyler Hoffman from Stellar Blue. Again, the series has been presented by the Oshkosh Chamber and Stellar Blue, and we appreciate folks for jumping online with us. Today, we're going to be talking about measuring digital success in crisis, some analytics. So looking forward to this one. And I think Brett and Tyler, with that, I'll turn it over to you guys.
All right, sounds good. I'm going to try to share my screen here quick, but ultimately, yes, I am Tyler Hoffman. I am a project strategist here at Stellar Blue. We'll have Brett speaking along here as well. He's our lead project strategist at Stellar Blue. So try to get my screen pulled up, see if this works for us. All right, do you guys see my screen?
Absolutely, got it.
Yeah. Awesome, good to go. All right, and like I mentioned, feel free to jump in at any point if you guys have questions or type in a chat or anything like that. We want to make it engaging, and if you have specific questions, we're happy to answer those. So to our best ability, I should say. So let me jump in here. So as Rob mentioned, this is part of a four-part series. I'll kind of do a quick intro to each, and we'll dive a little bit in case anyone missed the first parts. It's always nice to do a recap as well. So ultimately, we started with the foundation. Again, I'll go more into this in a minute, but really just making sure everyone's website is aligned to be able to build out more e-commerce solutions or monetizing your site specifically. So from that, part two actually went into being more transactional with your site. So really focused more on the options with e-commerce, different payment gateways, things like that. Then we dove in part three, which was more focused on marketing. So touched on analytics and the importance of analytics as it pertains to your marketing and advertising. But then today, we're really going to dive deep into analytics and the value of analytics and making sure that you're taking advantage of that data that's there for you regarding your website and social media. So we'll jump in. I'll do a real quick high-level overview. So like I said, that was the, how's your foundation? Make sure that your website is set up correctly moving forward. So we talked first about crisis and survival. Very high level. Stephen Covey's little quadrant here, quadrant one, that's where we were at right after the whole COVID thing hit, right? Everyone was kind of in panic mode. Are we going to be sustainable? Are we going to survive? Or everyone is stressed out, burnt out. We're trying now to be more focused on that quadrant two, which is not everything is quite as urgent, but it's still just as important. So we're really looking at the strategic sustainability of our business and hopefully the growth of that. And especially as it pertains to our online presence, as we just learned over the past 2 months, how critical online presence is right now. So we dove next into social media. Ultimately, that should be driving your traffic and your following and your engagement, and your website should be driving the sales aspect of that. So we talked a little bit about making sure that you have all of your social media channels aligned, and that includes Google My Business, making sure that all of your content matches what your website has. You want to be as in sync with all of your messaging to any potential client or any potential visitor, client, etc., as possible. And then we talked a little bit, introduced to the idea, the concept of forms and e-commerce. So we didn't really go in depth into e-commerce at all in part one, but we did talk a little bit about forms and introduce that as a concept. So most sites can have a simple payment form, a contact form, anything that allows quick, easy engagement from a user to your brand or your business. So this is a good example of the Butterfly Festival. We did this for them as far as taking payment and registrations. So these can be made as simple or complex as you want, but it's a lot easier and quicker to get this up and running than, say, building out a full shop for full e-commerce solutions. So we wanted to introduce that as an option for people to really get them online faster. So speaking of that, then next we kind of talked more about being transactional. Brett dove into kind of the benefits of, identifying your digital products. What can you digitize for products or services? If you're very focused on a brick and mortar store and you couldn't sell any service you can't sell online, gift cards that you could be selling on, just any way to get cash flowing. So we wanted to try to help people figure out that mindset and how that pertains to their website. Then start building it. So ultimately, look at that e-commerce option. Could you implement a payment gateway or a shipping gateway if you have a product that you could automate the shipping process for? A lot of that sounds complicated, but it's a lot easier than a lot of people think it is. And then increase your security. Right now, security, cybersecurity, huge focus. And if you're going to be taking any contact information or taking any sort of payment or anything online, your security is going to be critical. Not to mention, without an SSL, that's a secure socket layer, your Google won't even be scanning your site for SEO optimization. So that's really important at this stage, and moving forward, you should always make sure that at a bare minimum you have that. And then share, make sure those social media channels that are now optimized based on what we just talked about in part 1, make sure that you are set up so that you're sharing this amongst all channels possible. You want to make it as easy for people to spend money with your brand as possible. So just make sure that everything is in line there. For part 3, we really dove into marketing, and I'll go a little bit more in depth on this because each of these parts goes a little bit more technical as we really figure out how to grow our business online. So this one was very focused on marketing, and step 1, we kind of highlight our internal marketing process and how we work with our clients. It's really beneficial to have a good understanding of them, their business, their mission, their values. From there, you can start strategizing and figuring out how to best implement monetizing your site. And point 4 there, most critically, is conversions. You need to be able to turn all of your efforts there into return on investment. So how are you getting those sales? If it's not actually selling a product, it's probably at least engaging people. So hopefully you're getting more traffic to your site and more engagement, whether it's a contact form or people just reaching out to your business to learn more. But ultimately, it's still a conversion. And then growing that, being very, very strategic. That's where we start talking analytics, and that's kind of the proof in the pudding on what's working, what's not, where can we make changes, and we'll dive more into that in today's part 4. So we talked a little bit about that discovery, that whole very strategically audit your business, look deep into what you're doing, and then also what your competitors are doing. It seems very high level, but as it pertains to your website, certain things seem very simple. That's actually a free tool that we shared last week. I highly recommend you take a look. It'll scan your site for you and tell you what the reading level is. And just a fair warning, most people don't come in exactly where they want to be. You would be surprised. But to optimize your site, typically you need to have your content written for grades 3 or 4 is what they say are most effective, which seems crazy low. And it's actually kind of hard to do so. This is a really cool tool to enlighten you on how your website is set up, and it might help you understand if you need to be adjusting your content accordingly. Another really good tool right here that shows people forget, they'll have a blog on their website that maybe had some links off to different articles or whatnot, and they forget to update that over time. It's very possible that those links are now expired, have gone away. A tool like this, there are paid and free versions of this, but it'll scan, the free one will scan up to 500 pages of a site and tell you if you have any broken links. And those directly can impact your SEO rankings, your Google rankings. So it's always good to be in tune with that information. And again, this is kind of that high level of where we really dive into that on the analytics topic today. So we'll get into more of that. As it pertains to marketing, we looked a lot more at reverse engineering the spend and where we want the ad dollars to go. So this is just a graphic that kind of shows how we figure out how to most effectively have, align our budgets with hopefully where we're going to be spending the money on paid ads. And then the last part of that, you're strategizing, you're putting a budget together for how you're going to be doing any paid advertising, effectively utilizing landing pages. So if you do have an ad that goes out, say on Facebook, you want to make sure that anything that's directing them to a very specific product or service doesn't only link them to your main website for a lot of purposes, but minimize the clicks. It should go directly to whatever the most relevant content is on your site. And hopefully then we can start tracking that as a campaign. And again, we'll get into more of that today as we talk about the value of analytics. But then just implement that, convert, grow. whether that's, different special offers on your site or on social media, providing ebooks, capturing leads, you name it, landing pages, or just simple forms. You don't have to build out a full e-commerce online store to be monetizing your site. So today we'll jump into analytics. We'll do kind of a high level intro, and then we'll dive into it. Again, I think the idea is we'll get through this. I don't think it's going to take us too much time, and we really want to open it up so if people have questions, we can help them out that way. So, and then we'll also share contact information at the end for sure, just so that if you guys have more specific questions, you can reach out anytime. So analytics, simple, right? Meaningful patterns of data. Metadata, ironically, is data about data. I am not a data guru, so that all is like flyby for me. But there are basics that are extremely relevant and ways that you can manipulate the information on the bend of your website to be working for you, right? So why do you want to take advantage of analytics is pretty simple. Because I always think of my little nephews, their answer is because. But because your website analytics are a lot more than just driving traffic. A lot of people get caught up in we had this many people on our site today. That actually doesn't do you any good if not one of them did anything. If they didn't click in the right places, if they didn't submit a contact form with questions, they didn't call you, they didn't show up at your store, or they didn't order or pay, spend money with you. So just general traffic is minimum of what you want to look at. So we want to kind of introduce you guys to different things that you should be focused on to optimize the website. So know your visitor's journey. And I apologize, I keep saying website. It goes beyond that as well, though, because as Brettel mentioned, social media in general, there are different analytics for that, and we'll dive into that. But know your visitor's journey. And there's a lot of interesting information around where visitors are coming from. We're not just talking geographically. We're also talking about, are they clicking on a link from a Chamber of Commerce site? That's good to know, because maybe you want to spend some ad money advertising with that Chamber of Commerce if you're already getting some good traffic through there. But geographically, it is good to know where your activity is coming from, again, because you can be more targeted with your ad spend. So I highly encourage you to focus on those elements, and we'll dive into that a little bit further as well. And then, ultimately, are those results leading to conversions? So are you making money? So this is just a map. You can show different highlight points. We have a number of different analytic tools that Brett will go through, but each of those allow you to dive in and see roughly where you're getting the most activity from. So if you're not a national company, or you primarily focus in a local region, it's good to know if you have cities just on those outskirts that are engaging with your brand, because maybe it'd be worth trying to draw in more business from those. And this is just some general information. I mean, you're looking at not just total clicks, but total impressions. You're looking at, the click-through rates. Bounce rate is a big one that you'll hear talked about, and that's ultimately when people go to your site but leave immediately. So maybe they clicked on a link or an ad, but they didn't actually want to be there, so they left right away. You don't want that to happen a lot. You want people to spend time on your site. So we can talk about that as well, but make sure that you're looking at all of those numbers, and really we'll try to show you which ones to look at, and then ultimately how to decipher that, right? Because if you're just staring at this like it's a matrix screen, it's not any good either. So I'm gonna have Brett actually run through the types and platform options. Brett, you can take it away.
Awesome. So first, as Tyler mentioned earlier, there's several different tracking tools out there. You can get analytics from all over the place. We're going to break down the different areas that have an analytic kind of back, or like a dashboard or a back end that you can, log into, or as administrator of a page, you can have access to how many people are viewing your posts and things like that. So right off the bat, we want to go for organic social media. And just some of the, there's so many social media channels out there. We kind of hit the big ones here that are kind of relevant more for the B2B scenario, for the business to business, with a little bit of business to customer as well. So, you got your Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So just making sure that you don't have to be running ads on these platforms. You can be just tracking how well your social media is doing, and then we'll show you how you can tie that back into your analytic platform on the website. And then also there are, I'm going to say, aggregate tools that make posting and staying relevant on social media across all the channels out there. And those are those bottom three called Hootsuite, Sprout Social, HubSpot. Again, these are all business decisions that you're going to have to make, but these make it easier for you to schedule out all your social media posts across different platforms. So you can have them, and then you basically, you spend maybe a day, creating your whole monthly posting schedule, maybe 3 times a week across all the platforms, and then you can be done with it. And then you set up all the times when they'll automatically post for you. So you get a bevy of analytics between all of the platforms in one spot. So like Hootsuite, Sprout Social, HubSpot, they're pulling on all the analytics from there, from wherever you're in. So we'll say you're in Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, they're pulling all those in one back-end dashboard, which is really, really great there. So.
Yeah, and I just wanted to throw in just some stats as it pertains to use on social media right now, especially since COVID. Use of social media in general amongst all age groups has gone up substantially. So 16 to 24-year-olds, obviously 58%, 25 to 34-year-olds, a lot of that is in our target demographic. Good to know that they're spending a lot more time on social media. So now is the best time to make sure that that content is optimized and you're taking advantage of any paid ad opportunities as well.
So now we wanted to talk about eBlast analytics as well. So if you're doing any email marketing campaigns, you get to a certain size and then you might realize, oh man, I cannot email out. There's that email cap where you can email out to your contacts. And this is where an eBlast software helps do that per all the regulations and rules that they follow by. So you can grow your contacts to the, 500,000, 10,000 and beyond. And what's really nice about the eBlast analytics is that again, you can set it up to hook into your website analytics, but you can actually break down each of your email campaigns. So whether they're newsletters or whether you're promoting, a coupon or, this month off, COVID, May special, 10% off if you're selling a product or of a service, welcoming people back if you're opening your business up again, kind of e-blasting out, welcome back, we'd love to have you come on in. And then here's a coupon, right? I believe all the hair salons were getting inundated this past week. So that would have been a great one to entice them to go to your place versus others. So yeah, I don't know if Tyler, you want to bounce on in here. But again, like these are just some of the analytics that you can get from the dashboard, right? And you see how many people are opening it. Did they click on it? That bounce rate, or if people, marked it as spam. And you can kind of just, there's all these different platforms. They have different ways of categorizing the data, but typically you see something like contacts, email sent, your deliverability rate, and then you can start selecting each of your eBlast campaigns. In this case, they're showing you two newsletters and then, kind of 2 campaigns for a sales summer campaign. If you want to zoom in the next one here, again, this is just showing you different ways that different tools between, I believe this one's MailChimp right here, just showing you, the recipients of this campaign, how many people opened, how many of them clicked on it, how many unsubscribed. And then the nice thing on here, how many people didn't even look at it, didn't open on it, is you can start getting a better idea. Are people reading my emails? Maybe if people aren't even opening it, was it not that great of a subject line? You can start using this data along with taking the tracking code and putting it into your website. So then you can track to see how many people actually clicked on a link in your email, and then we can follow them all the way through to hopefully a conversion or a contact us form or purchase of a product. So. And then finally, the kind of, the granddaddy, I'm going to say this: if there is ever one tool that you should get, is making sure that you have website analytics on there, especially since Google is a free tool, right? So this allows you to pull in and track everything to your website, which is where ideally most people are having that conversion, right, to fill out a contact form or purchase a product. So we want to make sure we're tracking everything that we can from there, and you can set these website analytics up in a way to do some custom tracking, which we'll get into in a little bit detail here. But Google, it's free. Monster Insights, you have to pay for it, but that's another big one that gives you really great analytics. That also ties into WordPress, which is, again, a content management system that we use and build our websites in. And then finally, Stellar Blue, we have our own Stellar Stats, we call it, but our own analytic platform. It's $19 a month, but the cool thing about it is that it can pull in Google Analytics data. So now we're pulling in more data. And then again, anything where you can get a tool that can pull in aggregation, of all this data into one place for you, because, otherwise you're gonna be like, hey, Brett, man, I gotta go click over to Facebook, look at their analytics, click over to LinkedIn, and then click over to, the website, and just trying to track all this stuff can be a daunting task. But when it's all set up right and all the tools and integrations are connected, it can be pretty powerful as to what you can track on there, and also make sound business decisions. And then finally, we touched on it last week in marketing, but paid advertising analytics. Any place that you're doing any paid advertising has its own business dashboard that you can track. So, Google Insights has that for tracking the Google ads. Social media insights, between, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and more. All of them have a whole back-end data system, that you can track and see how, very similar to email campaigns, how many people viewed them, how many people clicked on the link. And again, which is great if you set up your website analytics correctly, then you can follow them again all the way through that path, which is really great. And you can start seeing how you can track that user conversion journey that Tyler talked about way in the beginning. So.
Yeah, it's actually fascinating. We do pre-COVID, we did a lot of work in person, and it's funny how many people spend a lot of money on paid advertising, especially through Google or Facebook, for example, and never look at those insights. So definitely take a look at that, especially if you're already taking advantage of that as an advertising tool, because that's really valuable information. Next, we'll dive into kind of tailoring your analytics ultimately to really be in alignment with the mission and vision values of your company. So a few different ways to do that, but we're going to talk really about what's important for you to track. That's going to be different for every single business in every single industry. So we're just going to touch on this a little bit, and we're happy to answer any questions about it. But ultimately, these are just some top things that people tend to track. Geographic location, traffic information is really valuable for a lot of people, just as it relates to where they're getting business from. Especially right now, let's say you hadn't been taking advantage of your online presence. Maybe your website was just an informational site for people. If you're trying to drive traffic to it, especially now to make money from it, knowing where people are coming from is really valuable. Again, a lot of it comes back to where you're putting in your effort. If you're going to be doing boosted ads in a specific area, you want to know where that is and what's already going to get you the most bang for your buck. So there's information links can be used to that same way. You're already understanding where traffic is coming from if you're looking at your analytics on your website. So I can go into our analytics and see exactly what sites people are coming from most. If they're coming from Facebook, if they're coming from Instagram, if they're coming from a link that we have in a Chamber of Commerce, we want to know all of that information, because that can really go towards our alignment of any additional advertising efforts. So some people really like, especially if you're a tech company, you like to know the device or the platform, the operating system, all of that information, believe it or not, Big Brother, I know, is tracked. So people will know even down to your location. Sometimes we do that just for fun, show people like, hey, look, you can literally see the GPS coordinates of where this person was when they went to your site. But it's really interesting to be able to see that. And for example, maybe, at least being aware of how many people, nowadays most sites are, able to be viewed on a mobile phone, but not all of them are highly optimized for that. So it's really good to know if you have a retail, you might be getting a lot of retail or a lot of buyers coming from a mobile platform. So you want to make sure your mobile side is might not have as many people coming from desktop. Whereas, you know, typically a government site or something like that, those are often accessed more from desktops than they are from mobile phones. But again, it's really good to know because I'm sure you've all been there. You've seen a person's site on desktop and then it looks totally different on mobile. It really comes down to, did they optimize it so that it is most effective for the user experience on that mobile device? So sometimes that's extremely valuable for people to know. And for other businesses, maybe it's not that big of a deal. Strategic landing pages, we mentioned that earlier, making sure that your ads are aligned with people to click through to try to find it again once they're on your site. Make sure everything goes direct. Either it goes direct to a subpage that's specific to that information, or like I said, that landing page is critical because you can track that text. And then campaigns. So building campaigns is extremely valuable because it ties in where all of that information came from. And I think we have a couple of graphics here that highlight that, but to be able to track, you know, if traffic is coming from a search engine, if it's coming from direct entry, that means they literally typed in your web address in the search bar, so that's how they got there, versus, you know, other websites. So for example, if they're clicking through, you know, say you're the town of Little Chute or something, and they click into your website and they find your link to your business and it comes from there, that's really good to know if that's where it came from. And then this one dives a little bit more into the specifics. We mentioned bounce rate. You can see the bounce rate over there. The lower that number is, the better. You want people to spend more time on your site. So we actually blacked out, this is actually a screenshot of one of our clients, so we wanted to keep it anonymous. But really good to be able to see, you know, that more than just the page views, but unique entries is also something that we like to track. Some people come back, they visit multiple times, so you'll see those numbers differ because unique entries means it's a new user. And then again, the bounce rate is really critical on knowing how long they're spending on your site. If people are getting there and leaving right away, you need to have something on that homepage that's engaging them enough to keep them there or to keep them clicking into something else on your site. And then this is just an example of the different information you can get for, you know, where it all came from. So, you know, did users come from Pinterest? Did they come from Facebook? I mean, you can go through, but all of that is available on your back end. So you can see where all of these people are coming from. It really helps with alignment of where you're putting your efforts for advertising. Next, kind of what does this all mean to you? So putting this all together, again, people can be so mind-boggled by all of the data. There is so much data there. If you pull up a dashboard, sometimes it's just overwhelming. So it's really valuable. And in a second, I'll show you an example but of really understanding that information, that data, and only pulling what's most relevant to you and your business. Make sure that you understand your user's experience through the process. And it's not once they're on your website. That is, if they click on this ad on Instagram, what happens? And really have a good understanding of what that user journey is, because you need to make it as easy for them as possible to ultimately click through to get that conversion so that you make a sale. So, well, we say conversions, but you know, let's make a sale, you're trying to make a sale. And you can customize the analytics in a number of different ways, and we can dive into that, but there's a lot of information to look at. When we talked about building campaigns, we'll go into that a little bit further here, but don't forget to track that information. If you're spending money on an ad, not only can you look at the campaign or the ad insights, like say you're looking at Facebook, you can look at Facebook insights, but you can actually build a separate campaign just within your backend of your website to link to all of that. So it's really good. I don't know if Brett has anything to add there. I can click back through.
Yeah, if you go through here,
about these,
I can jump in here. Yeah. So the whole point of this is now how, you know, you have access to all this data. Now how can you start, you know, doing a few things to help customize that data into, you know, goals or, you know, information that's relevant, you know, to you and what you're looking to do. So if you have to answer to, you know, if you aren't the owner of the company and you have to answer to the owner on this, you can show, hey, here's the campaigns that we're doing and here's the conversion rate. And ideally you should be able to track it all the way to how much dollars you spent for a specific ad to how much came from that, right? So, so right here is this again from one of our clients here, but you can see there's multiple campaigns that resulted in multiple visitors that had the sessions, and ultimately we had our goal conversion rate over here. Now, thankfully, your goal conversion rates, depending on the snippet of time as well as there, but I mean, it's typically 2 to 3% is a pretty, common, accurate conversion rate. Again, it all depends also on, how big of a ticket item is your service that you have as well. So, but this is just stuff that you can set up, and then those conversion rates would then ultimately correlate with a revenue number as well. So. And this, is one of our clients that we were just tracking website order form submissions. So they're poised, they're built in an e-commerce background, but they are moving their entire inventory from Florida up to Wisconsin. So right now, how people can order parts on there is they have to fill out a request a quote form. They select the parts and all the things that they want, and then a salesperson calls them up and confirms the order. So we're able to track. So what they wanted us, to do with our marketing is make sure we can track how many website submissions that we had on here. So this just kind of shows that, conversion rate, and this was just from April to May, 124, conversions of people filling out that website order form, which is great because a lot of these things, these are all for parts to rebuild Ferraris and exotic cars and stuff. So we're not able to find out the exact amount of money, but they take how many website conversions, and we give them the names of the people that filled it out. All that stuff's tracked, and then they run it through with their salespeople to confirm, yep, they ordered this much, it resulted in $800, or this resulted in, 150, and they can tally that all up. But just letting you know, this is the stuff that you can set up. It takes a little bit extra time, but you can set this up. And the cool thing too is now, locations were great, right, to know of, but now you can look at over here as we added, this is the same company, so we don't have any, you see the summary of goal revenues, all 0 or no data, and that's just because their parts don't have, it's still on their way up. But you can see the conversion rate there. So, we can see what cities are converting more. So if we're running ads, which I know we are in certain cities, we can see the conversion rate there. So we can start trying to figure out, why is that city converting more? What type of ads are we running in that city? And it's great when you're a, national, international company to see that it's not just, Neenah, Oshkosh, Fox cities that are your biggest numbers. Great to start growing some of those markets. And you can, again, as we talked last week, you can target specific markets, within all the social media platforms and Google ads. You can target what markets you want to get into. So now we can start tracking, and you can show the owner, or you can, request for more money because, hey, look at these numbers and how they're converting, and ultimately you get to the money of how much revenue brought in. So you can start using it to justify why you want to zig when the company wants to zag, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so but Brett, I mean, I can let you kind of keep running through this if you'd like, but we did want to show here an example of one of our, I think we just have it as a basic example, but one of our bronze analytics reports. So we at Stellar do a lot of different reporting, again, just trying to make it easier for people to really decipher the data and understand what that means to them. So I'll kind of let you take it away, Brett.
Sure. Yeah, so this is just a report, I think, from October of 2019, and we just kind of redacted a bunch of information. It's from a smaller business around here in the area, but if you want to click through here, Tyler, you can keep going. So November of last year, yeah. And when we take on a client, and again, it doesn't have to be, hey, this is talking about us. It's also things that you can consider for you guys if you are the marketing arm of your company. We always want to look at the health of the entire marketing campaign, right? The website, ads, all that stuff are just, little pieces along the way to make up, marketing. So we always want to look at your website and marketing goals, right? So you should determine what are your website and marketing goals, and how did what we did last month, hit, miss, get closer, get further away from those goals on here. So we always kind of give a summary of what happened. And then we say, if we're out there updating their website and doing other things, we say some of our recent marketing website updates that impacted this data this month. So we got to prove our worth. So we always look at the overall website health again and say, say issues, 90 plus is a really great score. We've been working with this client for several months, as well. So, and part of their package is to keep improving their website along the way. But this again helps with search engine rankings, et cetera, from that technical side. So you can move on through here. Again, we look at the audience and acquisition, and we break down from the different months, right? So we have August, September, October. That's what they say. I know it's a little tough to see there, but we can start tracking month by month, see if we're making good trends along the way. So, and if it's something that happened for a month, we can try to figure out what was the issues causing that. This just breaks it down again into pretty graphs versus just numbers. And again, we break it down from campaigns, from search engine, from direct traffic, and then from other websites as well. And then we're tracking from the month to month, right? That's what really helps to start, seeing trends. So next year coming up, 2020 here, we can look back on historical data and see, what worked last year to see if, we need to be prepping for this, end of the summer sale or bonanza or whatever. We can have that all preloaded, ready to go, and we can make adjustments from an annual basis as well. This is just breaking down locations. We made it a little bit easier with pertinent information that they wanted to see. Breaks down devices as well. We can move over here. Here is the Google Search Console. So again, I said we're pulling in Google data as well. So these are just all keywords, and we kind of anonymize them by keyword 1, 2, branded keywords. That means the company's name. So from that instance is in it there. So that's all that means. So if it's like Angela's on here, so like for imprint, and then a keyword, that would be considered a branded keyword. So you can keep going from there. And then finally, we start looking at some of the behavior, some of the top traffic pages for the month. This company also had a portal as well, a backend portal where their clients could log into. So we're tracking their whole, web presence along there, and a couple of their key landing pages that we help build and optimize. Again, we want to show, hey, these are some of the page views along the way. Scroll through here. Bouncing around here. Here's just the pages that people entered on and where did they come from, along with our summary in the bottom there. Finally, we're getting close to the top outlinks. So that means they clicked on a link that took them off their website, right? Which it could be a bad thing, could be a good thing. If they click on here and it links them to their portal, hey, that's a good thing. If it takes them off to a competitor's website or if they're linking somewhere else, they could be linking to your social media, could be linking to a vast number of things that you have outlinks to that take you off your site. And then you can look at downloads. So if they're downloading images, if you have schematics or, specific criteria about a product or a service, that has a nice PDF brochure, you can start tracking to see what people are clicking on here. And then now we get into the conversions here. So we start tracking orders from Google pay-per-click campaign, how much they spent. We're looking at the contact form submissions and then some other conversions and insights. You can move that over again here. And then finally, we kind of look at the campaigns that we've been doing with them. And we're trying to get that click-through rate up. We're also able to track phone calls via Google, which is awesome. So we can see if they're calling off of your ad, you can set those up to make sure that you can track all that stuff. We can look at, we're trying to get an average quality score above a 7 because then your conversions, how much you're paying for a conversion goes down. So there's a lot of things that we're going towards, and we ought to be showing you along the way our progress from that, and then breaking down what we're doing from there. And then finally, here's our recommendations and insights. Do we have your blessing to move forward? Here's what we recommend. They usually say, yep. Do what you need to do. And then future potential tasks and things that we identified. So again, that's what we do. But again, you can start thinking and using this kind of format to how can you grow your business, and what are some of that data that is really important, in kind of creating a monthly report that you can hand out to a board of directors or to your boss, that's just tracking everything from month to month, quarterly, annual stuff. It just makes it a lot easier for people to digest the information. It might take a lot of work to set it all up, but again, you're going to look like a shining star. And it's great to say, hey, we need, more money for this. When they say why, you're like, here you go, look at the data. That's pretty fun. Just drop a 20-page report in front of them. So here's why. No, but so. And then, finally, just kind of bringing it all together here is just call it making your marketing profitable, right? So, do you want to be profitable, want to be profitable, however that looks for you. So it's just like being profitable for you. There's some nonprofits out there that we're just looking to grow the traffic. We're looking for people to come across our information. We have clients that get grant funding and they offer free services and stuff. So for them, it's like, I don't really care, that how much, they're not even tracking money at all. They want to track a different type of a conversion on there. So whatever it looks like for you to be profitable with whatever your goals are for the month, quarterly. Sometimes people just want to grow their social media presence, and that's it, right? We're not looking to convert and make a sale via a social media post. We might just we first need to just grow our Instagram page, since we just, started one recently. So by using analytics to track all of those goals and what it means to be profitable for you. And the whole point is that once again, it's never a once and done thing. You're always going to be analyzing, your website, social media, email, and advertising, and you're always going to want to be using all those together to create that comprehensive understanding of what's going on from, an online marketing standpoint. And Tyler, if you want to click in here, this again, if you were in our last, this is just kind of visual representation of what I was just mentioning here. So this was a snippet from last webinar that we did about, online marketing, and it just shows here. So, from the 1, 2, 3 up top there, it's showing, okay, these people came from, ads on these platforms, right? They went to a landing page so now we're on our website here, right? And then, the salesperson, whoever was supposed to help, or the form, right, booked the appointment, and then, it got them to a landing page here that they could order, item 1, 2, and 3, and then they can pay, right? And then we have the conversion, we're tracking everything via analytics. So it's just a visual representation kind of there, and then obviously tying it to $2 from that standpoint. So
yeah, so thanks, Brett. So basically just a quick recap, and like I said, I'd rather spend some more time being able to take questions and whatnot, but choosing your analytics platform, no matter what that may be, obviously pending everyone's situation and where you're at a bare minimum, Google has a free platform, be on it. It's worth getting that, or at least start familiarizing yourself with that data. Tailor the analytics data to specifically what your company's mission, vision, and goals are. And then always monitor it and keep adjusting accordingly, right? Like that information is there so that you can be making changes, taking, different, maybe putting together slightly different ad campaigns and where you're marketing and how you're going about that, just because you're going to get a better feel for what's working for you. And hopefully that'll help you grow your business. But a lot of that information will help you keep your content up to date and relevant as well. And that's pretty much all we had for today. I don't know if Brett had any last things to add.
Last parting words of wisdom. Really, it is. I know some of you, if you have any questions regarding this topic, I know some of you have been through the journey from, webinar 1 to now. So even if you have questions, from those, please share those, as well as just, were there anything, things that you found, valuable through the series? Are there things that you wish we would do a deeper dive into that can help us put out better or newer, webinars tailored towards that specific thing? So I don't know if anybody wants to share at this point. I'd be willing to listen. Would love to hear from you.
I had a question. Do most of your customers, are they typically all delved into analytics, or do you kind of have to lead them that way? I mean, I would assume tracking the success of whatever they're trying to accomplish, whether it's website, email, social media, it's pretty important that analytics is part of it. Or is there a percentage that you ought to be budgeting just if you're looking at a project to track the results, or how does how do your customers, how do you work with your customers in that way?
Yeah, I mean, whenever we're taking on a new client, it kind of depends on, you know, if we're building them a brand new website or if we're just taking what they already have and kind of doing analysis and helping to drive traffic to the site. It really kind of depends where they're at. But, you know, a lot of analytic platforms, you know, for the most part, they're free or very low monthly costs. The thing that's a really great value for these businesses is, you know, what we provide is breaking down all the analytics, because you can dive into all of the stuff that we dive into. It's just knowing, you know, what does that mean and what to do next from here, or customizing all those analytics to pull on your conversion. So that's really the tricky part. But yeah, all of our clients that we're taking on have analytics, and we use that analytics, especially if we have any ongoing monthly marketing retainers with them. So
makes sense.
Yeah, at a bare minimum, just knowing the value of analytics, we work with our clients to, if they're a new client, we'll always add analytics, you know, for free for a certain period of time, just so that they can see the value of it. Because not only is it valuable for them to see what that's bringing in, but it really shows different areas that we can better their site, right? I mean, things can always be updated and you can always be modifying. So if a lot of times we have clients that don't already have, so if we get a client that already has a website that they want to switch over to us, if they haven't been tracking, we definitely want them tracking so that we have an understanding of what's working and what's not. Obviously, they came to us for a reason. So we need to have that understanding. And without that history, without the analytics data, there's much that we can do for them, right? We need that information. So, and the longer that has been active and being recorded, the better. So, and whether that's through Google or wherever it is, it's important information to have.
Absolutely. And yeah, and also if kind of like last time, you know, we asked if you wanted to reach out, we'd send you over the kind of client intake you know, kind of workbook. Same thing, you know, apply here is that, you know, if you're interested and say, hey, that if you want to try analytics, you know, for free, whatever, we'd be willing to give you, you know, 3 months free, as Tyler was talking about there too. So if that is something you're interested, otherwise, you know, it is always here to support and help out all the local businesses and oops, got a notification here, but yeah, so that's it. So.
Well, that's great. That's a great offer. Folks could just call you if they'd like to take you up on the analytics offer.
Email there too. Yeah, that we have there.
I was just gonna say that email goes to Brett and I, so feel free to send it to that, and we'll get back to you for sure.
Awesome, great. Well, I want to thank you, Tyler and Brett, for today's webinar and really the past month on this series. Hopefully, we'll be able to do this again, and folks will come. We'll strategize with you guys on what might not be next or what might be next. And also thanks to Jim Dubinsky, owner of Stellar Blue from afar.
From afar.
Today, but couldn't be with us. But again, thanks again to Stellar Blue, and we look forward to working with you guys in the future. You do great work.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, guys.
Everybody. Take care.
Take care, guys.
Have a great week.
Bye.